Vikings are best remembered today for their savagery as ruthless raiders who loved to plunder, pillage, and burn. They were fearsome foes whose ruthless incursions into Europe prompted a unique prayer for deliverance among their victims. They raped and enslaved survivors as well as plundering and murdering victims. The Vikings were amazing engineers as well. Their inventions and improvements offered them a competitive advantage in battle, trade, and other endeavors, allowing them to cross oceans, seas, and inland rivers. Some of their ideas and innovations changed sailing and navigation, despite the fact that many of their scientific marvels were tied to battle. Others were useful for bivouacking in cold, rugged terrain or for personal and military travel through hostile situations. One of their inventions displays their own sense of self-importance and narcissism. As much as their military prowess, piratical activities, and daring seamanship, each of these 10 incredible Viking inventions and ideas illustrates the genuine nature of the Norsemen. They reveal a facet of medieval Scandinavian character that has been overlooked or lost. 1. Tent. The Viking tent was simple, practical, and magnificent all at the same time. Tent frames were discovered in Gokstad, Sondar, Sandefjord, Vestfold, Norway, aboard a buried 9th century Viking ship. The bottoms of 2 crossing beams were placed into each of the square wooden platform's 2 ends. Then, near the tops of each pair of beams, a pole was run through them. Then, a rectangle piece of material measuring 5 meters long by 4 meters wide was draped across the pole and secured to the platform's other 2 sides. The 3-meter-tall tent was easy to set up and provided a dry shelter with a wooden floor for its users. 2. Sun compass. The solar compass was a simple but ingenious navigational device used by the Vikings to travel long distances. A peg, known as the gnomon, was put through a hole in the middle of a circular, wooden, or soapstone plate known as the sun shadow board to make the sun compass. The gnomon stood vertically on the board, which was held horizontally. The gnomon shadow fell across the board. The process was repeated every hour from dawn to sunset, marking its location. The gnomon line, which was defined by the ship's latitude, the sun's declination, and the gnomon's height, formed a hyperbolic curve by connecting the points. The Vikings had to accommodate for changes in the sun's height throughout the year when navigating. The compass was left to float in a container of water above the ship's deck to counteract the effects of the ship's pitch. 3. Western-style skis. Vikings enjoyed skiing when they weren't pillaging, robbing, raping, or slaughtering. Despite the fact that the Russians and Chinese invented skis before the Vikings, the Norsemen were the first to introduce Western-style skiing. The term ski comes from the Old Norse word skio. Scandinavian hunters, farmers, and warriors utilized skis extensively during the Middle Ages. 18th century warriors competed in competitive skiing bouts in Norway. Swiss military used skis to train and compete in the 1700s. The Viking habit of using skis for fun and transportation inspired these events. According to Scotty and Uller's drawings, even the Norse gods skied and strolled on snowshoes. 4. Shield. The Viking shield was unlike any other buckler from the Middle Ages. It was 75 to 90 centimeters in length. The shield was used to defend the Vikings in battle as well as to protect them from the elements on their sea trips. The shield's flat face, or board, was fashioned of 7 or 8 boards of fir, alder, or poplar wood. These woods were light and easy to work with. The boards were probably fastened together by other attached pieces like the handle and leather cover, rather than being directly bonded to one another. It's also possible that the planks were cemented together by the Vikings. The thin, flexible wood of the shield made it less likely to be split by an enemy's weapons. The thinness of the wood absorbed the impact force, but the elastic wood fibers bonded around a sword's blades as it became caught in the wooden shield. This aided in the deflecting of punches. 5. Longboat. The Viking longboat was an engineering wonder that was unrivaled in the medieval world. Because of their ship's flexible, robust designs and ability to sail in many different directions depending on the wind, the Vikings had an advantage in combat, trade, and exploration. The ship's short drafts, according to Dr. William Short, who specializes in Viking history and culture, allowed them to operate in shallow water. So they could go upriver and surprise folks in regions where no one anticipated an ocean-going ship to materialize, as they put it. The Vikings traveled as far west as Vinland, Newfoundland, as far east as Russia, and as far southeast as a chunk of the Byzantine Empire from their homes in Scandinavia. 6. Comb. The majority of Viking inventions and improvements were tied to their hit-and-run military campaigns, which included shipbuilding, camping, battle, and other practical endeavors. Despite their predilection for guerrilla warfare, the Vikings appear to have been self-conscious about their appearance. They took the combs they made from deer antlers with them when they set out in pursuit of treasure. You may imagine these to be trash artifacts, but they were beautifully ornamented in some cases, and they were all tremendously over-engineered, said archaeologist Steve Ashby. The combs were made of the same material as specialist tools such as polishers, saws, and rasps, he noted. The appearance of Vikings was an important part of their identity. They groomed themselves meticulously and carried combs on their belts with their swords and weapons. They even brought combs to the grave, according to Ashby. Comb making became extinct in England after the Norman conquest in the 11th century. This could be due to the forest law, or antlers may have become too expensive. 7. Battle axe. Although early Viking battle axes were merely axes for chopping wood, they evolved into a battle axe unique among medieval fighters throughout time. The blade grew in size and width. A hook was added to the blade's bottom end. The hook could be used to snag an enemy's foot or the rim of his shield in battle. The handle of the axe grew longer, allowing Vikings to attack their enemies from further away. Battle axes were well-balanced weapons that were simple to use and effective at inflicting wounds or killing people. Although some Viking tales depict axes being used as throwing weapons, such a strategy was rarely, if ever, used in battle. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.